Hello and welcome to Clickbait. I am Matt and today we're talking film. Yes, black and white 35mm analog film. Because I've just shot a roll of the starkest, most brutal, most uncompromising and contrasty film I've ever stuck through a camera. This is Svema Blue. It's an Ukrainian orthochromatic 35mm which is distributed by the Film Photography Project. And as well as being an ortho film, that's orthochromatic, not orthopedic, does nothing for your bad feet or knees, it is ISO 6. So even in good light, you're going to need a steady hand or a tripod and a camera with a half decent meter in it because it takes no prisoners with exposure latitude. There is none. So I loaded this into my Nikon F4, which luckily does have a decent light meter in it, and even more luckily goes down to ISO 6 and allows you to set it manually, which is good because this is not a DX coded canister of film. They actually say if your camera doesn't have DX or doesn't have 6 on the dial, you can overexpose by 2 stops to compensate, but you still have got to set it down and use it as if it is ISO 6. But because it is not DX coded, don't forget to manually do that, because if you don't, you've just wasted 20 quid on a roll of film and processing. Fortunately, the F4, if you've got a non-DX roll of film in it and you haven't set it off DX onto the correct ISO, it goes into error mode and doesn't let you mess things up quite as badly, which is lucky because I've never done that before. And FPP, the Film Photography Project, don't actually recommend this particular film for a point and shoot basic compact. They say you need to have it in something half decent to make it work properly. But who are the Film Photography Project, I hear you ask? Well, they are a US based group of film photographers and analog enthusiasts who work to kind of promote film and analog photography in as many ways as they can. They source and supply film and processing equipment, and they do talks and videos and podcasts and supply cameras to schools, all that kind of good stuff, and basically make film photography more accessible. Here in Europe and the UK, you can buy this stuff through Analog Wonderland, where I got this roll of film from. There's a link in the description below to buy a roll of it if you really want to, and as I'm an Analog Wonderland ambassador, if you hit my sign up to their Wonder Points program link in the description below as well, you get a free roll of film as a sign up gift, which is a nice thing. So, orthochromatic film, what is it? Well, it means it can only see blues and greens because the silver halide crystals coating the film can only see really the blue aspect of the light spectrum. It's blind to red, so that comes out as black on the negative and white on the print. And the film is oversensitive to the blue area of the spectrum. Next time you see any kind of pre-1900 prints, look at how the sky is always jet white, and that's because that's how it works. It can't see the reds and it overexposes the blues. Chemically, red was always the hardest colour to work out how to record onto film, so it wasn't until about 1906 that someone finally invented panchromatic film that recorded all the colours of the spectrum properly. An accurate colour film was even harder to make. That was another sort of couple of decades before we got that. In fact, if you look at the earliest movie films, those are all orthochromatic as well, and you look at the actors and the colours in the background, things are a little bit off, and the actors were caked in grease paint and powder to try and make them look vaguely natural because the pink and red of their faces just wasn't recording normally on the ortho film. So this is an unusual film to shoot. Anything you shoot on it does start looking a bit like a 1920s surrealist photo. So it's quite interesting to play with. And the way it comes out is really as extreme contrast. I mean, I've shot some contrasty films in the past, but nothing really quite like this. So let's have a look at how it came out and how it really reacts with the world around it. So when I started shooting this, I had no idea what to expect and how it was going to react, and the ISO 6 aspect of it made it quite a hard thing to shoot because obviously you don't always take a tripod everywhere. It's a bit of a faff to carry one. I tried hand holding a few things. There's a really good graffiti wall with some heavy contrast in there, but it's under a bridge and I got there and it was just too dark. I was trying to hand hold it about 1/10 of a second, and without any kind of built-in IBIS or anything like that on a camera of this age, no chance. It's just vibration city. So what I found was you need contrasty subjects. You see how the sky here has gone really quite white, but you want something with heavy contrast for light and dark to get the best out of the picture. A light coloured building, in fact this is actually a red building, red brick. This is a really good example of how it doesn't record reds, because that's a dark red building which has come out virtually the same shade as the light grey sky. but the darker trees, which are a green in front, have gone very dark indeed. So that's quite an interesting example of exactly what we're talking about just there. When you hit real contrast, like the shade under these balconies and then the lighter bit that's on front of it, then you just see the real bright darkness and the light, and it just looks really powerful. So it's a film you want to use if you want to play with patterns rather than portraits, although portraits on it would be quite fun as well. When you see the silhouetting of trees in front of a light coloured building, that works really well too. Anything we can get a dark black against a white background, or a light background or a light foreground against a dark background, that contrast is really what plays out perfectly with this film. Geometric shapes, interesting patterns, anything like that, that's where it comes to life. And the really good stuff is where there was most of it. As I say, the surrealist aspect does work well. Mr. Frogman on top of a fairground ride. You can barely work out what he is, but it's a really interesting picture. But things really came to life at night, bizarrely, on the ISO 6 film. You take this thing out, and this was, it must have been a 15 or 20 second exposure in the end. I should have written this down. The darkness is pure dark. The initial scan was actually quite hard to work with because it looked like there was no detail recorded in the highlights, but it was in there. But there's so much detail in this shot. And again, down here, it's other petrol station. It turns out petrol stations and night shots are the perfect thing to use this on. It loves contrast, and that works so well for it. All the lights are just blowing out completely, and the darkness has gone to total darkness. It's really impressive. But it's not always completely stark. The one surprising shot on this roll of film, now I've kind of messed up. I thought it was a 36 roll of film, and I got to roll, or shot 24, and the camera kept seizing up, and I thought, I've broken my camera. It's 30 something years old, no wonder it's broken. Turned out it's only 24 pictures. If you've got really even contrast and really even light, it turns out it is an incredibly delicate roll of film, an unexpectedly delicate roll of film, with lots and lots of detail, which you wouldn't expect. Because it's ISO 6, the grain is very, very small. And this was handheld at about a 30th of a second in the end. But these leaves are all roughly the same colour, and they're an orangey, yellowy colour. So it's just on the cusp of the colours it can record. So it's interesting. It's a really unusual film. It's not something you're going to use every single day of the week. But if you have a project that needs something with a bit of contrast, a bit of interest, a bit of something different that you really want to get something incredibly stark out of, this is what you need to go for. Some Svema blue. Or in fact, there are a couple of other orthochromatic films out there. Ilford and Rolly both do rolls of it as well. I think Kodak used to, but don't know if they do anymore. Don't think they do. But if you're going to shoot some portraits with this stuff, that would be amazing. That's something I would actually really like to try with another roll of this. Get someone to white out their face and darken down their lips. That would look so intense for some real high key, high fashion type photos. That would be good. So this is the joy of film photography. You're looking at the world through normal eyes, through a normal camera, and you get back something like that, or like that. It's fantastic. It's fascinating. Go and buy yourself a roll of this and have some fun. It's only about £8 plus processing, or process it yourself, and you're having a great time. Enjoy. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this and you like talking about cameras and film and this kind of thing, then do please hit like and of course subscribe, and join us again next time talking about more camera stuff. Goodbye.